I never thought love would find me again. My name is Emily Carter, and I live in Portland, Oregon. At 43, I had built a life of independence and quiet routines. My mornings began with coffee on my small balcony, looking over the city's skyline, and my evenings ended with a book resting gently against my chest as I drifted to sleep. It wasn't that I didn't want love. It was more that I had convinced myself that chapter of my life had already closed. After my divorce 5 years earlier, I promised myself I wouldn't allow my heart to wander into dangerous territory again. But fate, as it often does, had other plans for me. It all started one breezy Saturday morning. I was at the farmer's market downtown, wandering between stalls, admiring the colorful displays of fresh fruits and flowers. Portland's market always had an energy that lifted my spirits. The laughter of children running around, the sound of local musicians strumming guitars, and the smell of baked bread lingering in the air. I stopped at a stall selling homemade honey when a man's voice interrupted my thoughts. "You should try the wildflower honey. It's the best," he said with an easy smile. I turned and saw him. A tall man, perhaps in his mid-40s, with warm hazel eyes and a gentle expression. His name was Michael Bennett. Michael carried himself with a quiet confidence, the kind that wasn't boastful but reassuring. He had recently moved to Portland from Denver, starting fresh after selling his small construction company. We chatted about the honey, then about favorite local cafes, and before I knew it, we were walking through the market together, bags of produce in our hands. I remember laughing more in that hour than I had in months. His presence was natural, unforced, as though we'd known each other for much longer than a few minutes. That afternoon, I couldn't stop thinking about him. There was a kindness in his voice, a steadiness in his gaze. A week later, I ran into him again at the local bookstore. It was almost comical, like the universe was making sure our paths kept crossing. We spent nearly an hour in the travel section, talking about places we wanted to visit. He loved the idea of hiking through the Pacific Northwest, while I dreamed of taking a road trip along the California coast. When he asked if I wanted to grab coffee, I said yes without hesitation. Our conversations flowed so easily. Over steaming mugs, we shared stories of our pasts. His years building his business, my work as a high school literature teacher. We didn't hide the scars life had left us with, and somehow, that honesty brought us closer. I told him about my divorce, how it had left me feeling like a failure, how I had lost trust in myself to choose the right partner. He listened without judgment, simply nodding, his eyes soft with understanding. He shared how he had lost his wife years earlier, and though the pain lingered, he believed in new beginnings. That struck me deeply. Here was a man who had faced heartache but still carried hope. Weeks turned into months, and Michael became a regular part of my life. We explored the city together, trying out new restaurants, walking through parks, attending art shows. He brought color back into my days in ways I hadn't expected. I found myself smiling at random moments, humming songs while cooking, even looking forward to mornings because I knew I'd likely hear from him. My friends noticed the change too. "You're glowing, Emily," my best friend Sarah teased one evening as we sat in her kitchen sipping wine. And though I tried to downplay it, I knew she was right. But falling in love again wasn't without fear. One evening, after Michael and I had dinner near the river, we sat on a bench watching the city lights reflect on the water. My heart felt heavy with unspoken worries. "Michael," I said softly, "what if this doesn't last? What if I can't give you what you deserve?" He took my hand gently, his thumb brushing over my knuckles. "Emily," he said, "life doesn't give us guarantees. But I know one thing. I want to take this journey with you. Day by day, step by step." His words washed over me, easing the doubts I had carried for so long. One of my most cherished memories came in late autumn. Michael planned a surprise trip to the Columbia River Gorge. We hiked through trails lined with fiery red and golden leaves, the air crisp and fresh. At one overlook, with the river stretching below us, he quietly said, "I never thought I'd find someone who makes me feel this alive again." My heart swelled with warmth, tears stinging my eyes. In that moment, I realized that love hadn't passed me by. It had simply been waiting for the right time and the right person. By winter, our bond had only deepened. Michael had become not just someone I was dating, but someone I trusted, someone I leaned on. He joined me for family gatherings, where my nieces adored him, and even my parents, initially cautious, grew to appreciate his genuine kindness. When Christmas came, he gifted me a leather-bound journal with a note inside, for all the new memories we'll create together. It was the most thoughtful present I had ever received, a symbol of the life unfolding between us. There were still moments of doubt, nights when I would wake up, my heart racing, afraid that happiness like this was temporary. But Michael's steady presence always reminded me that love doesn't vanish just because life had been unkind before. Instead, it waits patiently until you're ready to embrace it again. Now, a year since that first chance encounter at the farmer's market, I sit here writing in the very journal he gave me, reflecting on the beautiful journey we've shared. I never imagined I'd love again. I thought my story had already been written, that romance belonged to the past. But Michael showed me that love can find us at any stage of life, that it doesn't fade with time but grows stronger when nurtured with honesty, patience, and hope. Sometimes, the most unexpected people step into our lives at exactly the right moment. And when they do, everything changes. For me, that person was Michael. And because of him, I believe in love again.